Let's talk about some of the deadliest injuries in football.
Okay. I've wanted to like talk about this for a long time.
For me, the one that comes to my mind the most, my football career ended with injury. So there's always, when I see players get injured, the first thing that crosses my mind is the way I got injured. Okay,
I still can't
but
deal with that story.
but then but then there is the Marco van Basten injury.
Yeah.
The case of Marco van Basten was more of bad doctors rather than really the injury.
Yeah.
Bad operation in the ankle from the late 80s, and he retired at 28.
Yeah.
Then another one that really got me, Jibril Cisse, Aaron Ramsey, but those two were lucky to continue.
Yeah.
Then Eduardo da Silva,
Yeah.
maybe because I'm an Arsenal fan, I don't know, but Eduardo da Silva was that player that was going to come in and step up to the plate, himself and Reyes combining to lead Arsenal to another generation of glory. But
Yeah.
once he got that injury, it was the end for him. And I think you also have a lot of other stories of injury. Haaland, for instance, the dad,
Alfie Haaland.
yeah, that got crocked by Roy Keane,
Roy Keane.
and quite a few other players anyway.
Yeah.
But we've really, had great players get knocked out of the game because of injury.
The names you have mentioned are actually very notable names, but a similarity in their injuries were fractures. Jibril
Yes.
Cisse fractured his tibia twice. Aaron Ramsey fractured against Stoke City. But now I prefer to pay more attention ever since discussed with me about the impact of knee and ligament damages to
Yeah.
professional footballers. I prefer to pay attention now to season-ending, career-ending injuries. So, for example, I spoke about David Boost. Manchester City, in my opinion, has one of the nastiest injuries I have ever seen. That was a double fracture as well, but the impact was crazy because it came from the front and the back, and his leg never remained the same. Then there are instances.
No, so let's talk about that David Boost a little bit.
Yeah.
The reaction to the injury, the
Peter
players
Schmeichel.
surrounding Peter Schmeichel puking or vomiting.
Yeah,
as
he had
people
to excuse himself from the pitch, went to throw up by the side of the post. A lot of Manchester United players refused to continue the game because mentally, I think they couldn't cope with the impact of that injury. And seeing the pictures from David Boost's, multiple surgeries. I think he had around 23 surgeries to try to correct that leg, but he would never remain the same. I think that was the last game he ever played as a professional footballer. So injuries is something that I really feel disheartened about because like a lot of players who were really good but never had the opportunity to be up to their best just because of the amount of injuries that they had to deal with. Rather, example, Dean Ashton.
Yeah.
Dean Ashton is a big example. Luke Lewis, Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale is lucky to an extent because he has won the Champions League, he has won the La Liga, but he's currently dealing with a lot of muscle problems. So I don't know. What do you think about Jakusha? Jakusha is a typical example of a player who never lived up to his best.
I think for Jakusha, players like Jakusha, I remember the very first time I was still at Brilla FM when I started talking about Jakusha. It was one of those players like the English press call him the new Paul Gascoigne.
Perfect.
They said he's the new Paul Gascoigne, is this, is that. Does he have the talent? Yes. Does he have the potential to be Paul Gascoigne? I don't know because the Paul Gascoigne brand did not only thrive on playing football, it thrived on the erratic nature of the player. Jakusha doesn't have that. He was a total package. Gascoigne was a total package. From the beginning, one of the things that I noticed with Jakusha was it was that player. I used to have this coach in Port Harcourt, Coach Dandy Mezirike. He would say that when you keep playing and looking the ground, your passes will not be good and you would also run into trouble. That's Jakusha for you. He's always putting his head on the ground. It's not really, articulating. If I get this ball, like what Kevin De Bruyne does, what do I do with it? Less is more kind of thing. So his attributes sometimes makes it bad. And then he runs into traffic, not like people come to tackle him.
Exactly.
So he runs into traffic most of the time.
Yes.
And that's how he got himself injured. It's a very sad thing that a player with that much talent is not playing for £5,000 a month, not a week in Denmark. But hey, that's football. Football is no respecter of person. Football only respects your talent. And if you don't have the talent to match up the promises or the potential. Even Pele can say you have the potential to be the greatest player in the world, and you will still end up a flop. Go and ask Gordon Opara.
You are a very good example of what I would like to understand from the player point of view. How do you deal with serious injuries? You know, apart from the physical, impact, I think the psychological impact is another thing that football lovers need to understand, because I don't think it's a part of football we as watchers we respect or tend to pay attention to.
So that's one of the things that I like to talk to people a lot about,
Yeah.
getting injured, because I've been there. And before my major career-ending injury, there have been some other injuries. So let me liken it to, if you're watching maybe from Nigeria, liken it to or anywhere in the world. You've been in a terrible accident before, maybe at a crossroad, somewhere, you're in a bike, you had an accident. You know that from that moment going forward, anytime you want to enter a bike, you're always cautious of the accident that have happened.
Exactly.
That's the same thing with football. So when you get this very terrible injury, and you know one of the things that injury does to you is it kills your confidence, it kills your momentum, it kills your flicks and tricks in the game.
Yeah.
Because when you come back, your cautious are, I don't want to do those flick and tricks again, because maybe you start adapting yourself, and that's what you erode your confidence. And then when you see somebody coming at you just for the ball, you think it's going to come at you and send you back again with that kind of injury. And that on its own can make you not to play. So you need the right people around you, who are speaking the right words in your ear.
Yeah.
You need a very good team of psychologists.
Yeah.
And you need a coach that loves you, put their hands around your shoulder and tell you that, I mean, injury is part of the game. I trust you. I believe in you. I kept your spot. You're going to play again.
Yeah.
Those things can help you. Then it's also down to you. Like, how badly do you want it? Do you still really want to continue in this game? You still want to come back into this game? You still want to be that guy? Or you just want an excuse not to continue playing?
How about players who came out? How about players who came out from cardiovascular problems? Example, Christian Eriksen. Eriksen is...
And Kanuako.
Yes, and Kanuako, you know, they're examples of fighters. And I want to know what you think about Eriksen. These things that you just said now about, you know, having the flashbacks, having the PTSD, how is he able now to, you know, work his way back into the Danish national team? He should be at the World Cup. And this was just someone who was a minute away from literally dying at the Euros. So I don't know, injuries and heart problems, how exactly, what is the way out of it?
So I think this question would have been better served to a medical practitioner, a cardiovascular scientist or doctor and all that. But let me try and push this a bit. You know that thing we say locally, or die and die.
Yes, sir.
So the thing about cardiovascular problem is it doesn't take anything away from your sporting attributes. So if you're a skillful player, you're still a skillful player. Okay. If you can run, you still can run. Okay. Because what they do is, for his case and the case of Kanuako, was that they put aorta valve to attach aorta valve. The way I have 18 screws on my leg.
Wow.
So they have aorta valve, something that helped them to kickstart the heart.
Look at the way you casually said you have 18 screws.
And I'm living with it now. I've learned to live with it. So, you know, Victor Osimhen have 18 screw up here and another 16 down here.
Oh my God.
You know, he's living with it. He's playing his game and he's having fun playing his game. You've got to come to that point where you have to live with it. So for cardiovascular, I think, this is my thinking. I think at some point you've got to tell yourself that I can still run, I can still jump, I can still pass. I've not lost my footballing attributes. What I have lost, or probably what I have been told, is what the experts are saying. But I have my own opinion. If I sit at home, I will die.
Yeah.
If I play this game, I'll die. Let me play this game and die. Let me live for something rather than die for nothing. Or sorry, let me die for something rather than live for nothing. Yeah.
That's really. I'm scared for Eriksen, you know, but at the same time,
I think if Kanuako could go on from 99 till the end of his career,
Eriksen can do the same.
Eriksen can do the same. And you know the funny thing, we've seen footballers, no cardiovascular problem, nothing, fall on the field and they die.
Yeah.
One died on my hand. His name is Efe. Went to Benin to bury him when I was managing Babanawa Football Club.
Wow.
He was the fittest and one of the strongest players that we had. But one day in training in Jakonde, he just fell down and he passed. And we've seen that with Fabrice Mwamba, we've seen that with Mark Vivian Fowe, we've seen that with quite a lot of other players.
Yeah.
They just fall down and die. Then we've also seen people like Kanu Anko, who is a testament to the fact that you can actually carry on and forget whether you have that iota valve in your chest or one thing. The same rules follow the two of them. The Italian football refused to allow them to continue playing. He came to England, and we saw all of the exploits he put up with Arsenal, Portsmouth, West Bromwich Albion before he retired, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now again is Ericsson. The same Inter Milan again.
Yeah.
Strange that these two players have
I play
connection
for
with
Inter
Inter Milan.
Milan.
Two players who are also very skillful and technical with the ball.
You are listening to Elegbete TV Radio.